Welcome to the Wisconsin Resource Center for Charter Schools video series. I am your host, Chamomiles, Charter School Consultant with WRCCS. I'm here today with Niki Luedtke, advisor at the Valley New School in Appleton, Wisconsin. Niki, along with 3 colleagues, founded the Valley New School. She is the co-author of the book, Transformational Personal Learning Practices. Welcome to Let's Discuss Charter Schools, Improving Outcomes for All Students. Niki, thank you so much for joining us today from the Valley New School.
Thank you, Chamomile, for having us.
I'm excited to learn from you as we gain insights and tangible ideas through your school and the work you are doing. Can you tell us about the journey you have taken that led you to be the leader and founder of the Valley New School and how that aligns with the growth and development of your charter school?
My very first job was a redesign of a school in Boulder, Colorado, and that was a private school. And because of the small staff and open forum, we were able to be very creative. And as it being my first experience, I had no idea how lucky I was that I wasn't stepping into a predetermined system, and that my concept of education was going to be about design and redesign my whole life. I didn't know that back then, but I was very lucky to have that as my first experience, because I think I took that mindset forth in my subsequent positions, which led to me being able to also, be a founder of Valley New School. So I think just having some liberated concepts of what is possible in education early on helped me a lot. And then to meet my colleagues when I was at Wilson Middle School, and I finally made it to the mainstream public school sect and met my friends at Wilson and was, like-minded in the fact that there were a lot of aspects of traditional education that were a bit degrading for the staff and students. It didn't make us feel better. It might have made us feel worse. And being able to sit in the lunchroom and talk about how we could change that led to searching out some other schools that were trying to innovate. And we found a model that was a lot like what we used to start Valley New School. And the folks at Minnesota New Country School, where we found, also just so happened to have been recipients of a large grant by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation in efforts to start some new schools. So we walked out with some inspiration and some money, and that was very fateful that we were able to do that. And then also to coincide that, I feel, at a time where, at least regionally, we were kind of opening our minds to, how can we create some options in our district. And so to be able to start our school, have a supportive district who allowed us to be teacher powered and have autonomy in our creation and implementation was also synchronistic, and has allowed us to, remain supported to be a lab school. And so, in some ways, the fact that there was money there to help others start schools right when we were reaching our emergence time at year 3, when we really were feeling like, wow, we do have a great school here. And then, wow, there's a lot of people who also want to try new things too. And we were right in position to be able to disseminate our model. It was a dissemination grant that we received. And we made so many friends like you and others. And that was really, to me, that's what has allowed us to continue our growth as we help others grow, is that we made friends in innovation. Like the folks that I know who really want to make change, they spur me along as much as I spur them. So the fact that we connect over that work and that our work has a larger purpose, I think fuels the continual development of our school and of us.
Niki, can you remind us when your school started?
We started in 2003.
That's a long time ago.
It is. And I feel like, I remember at our 10-year anniversary presenting a workshop at an Innovative Schools Network conference that was about like staying fresh, staying on the cutting edge of education even after year 10. And I next year is year 20, and I feel more innovative, more like a lab school now than we did then. And so to me, that's a good sign that we're staying abreast and fresh of what is possible, I think.
And how do you feel you and your staff and your students do that? Do you feel like your model has shifted over the years to meet the needs of the new incoming students? Or do you think the model's just so good that it in of itself is staying fresh?
I feel like we got smart and lucky at the beginning to really be able to focus on what is truly essential in a humanitarian based communal personalized education. We were able to have room to establish that, and it has weathered all the storms because the essentials were allowed to be created at the beginning, the universal essentials that supersede academics, but include academics. So I feel that our model in its purity and integrity has been what has allowed us to stay true north to our mission. And our mindset of being a laboratory for education in general, that we want to remain in change. We want to continue to try new things. We don't want to settle in and create a status quo. That isn't our goal.
Yeah. Yay.
Mm-hmm.
How has the unique learning impacted the larger charter school community within Wisconsin? I know you've touched on this a little, but can you speak a little more to that?
Do you mean the unique learning of Valley New School's model, like project-based learning and personalized learning?
Exactly. I know you've talked about, workshops that you've done at different conferences, but yeah, if you can dig into.
Right. I am very lucky that my mentor, Dr. Ripa is my mentor, and we were able to collaborate in a timely fashion when I was discovering truly what personalization meant, and that he was doing the same work. And because Valley New School is set as a lab school, to be able to immediately implement those concepts and ideas of like, how far can you really take it? How much ownership can a student really have over themselves and their learning and their goals and their behaviors? And what can we create that can help them do that? And so being able to utilize student capacity is the difference, to be able to gain their feedback and their creativity and their ideas are just as much infused in the personal learning plan that we have at Valley New School today, and that others try to emulate as I have, and being able to write the book. I mean, that's so edifying. It's so reinforcing to Valley New School to have written the book on personalization, because now we have to walk our talk and continue.
Can you share the title of the book for listeners that maybe haven't been exposed to it yet?
The book is called Transformational Personal Learning Plans, a Universal Approach, and you can buy it at myplp.net. How's that?
Perfect. Thank you.
And then like, I think early on to really remain as far as open as possible to the possibilities for project-based learning by having few restrictions in the front end of our project-based learning, so that students could truly explore their interests and passions, and to really, like, over time cultivate the proof that a student-centered interdisciplinary approach can cover all the standards. Like, we are the proof that does happen without the need for the front ending in a standards-based curriculum, for example. So I feel like we are an example on what's possible in the area of project-based learning and personalization. I'm confident that whenever anybody comes to us, they will leave knowing that there is things possible that they did not think what were before. And then I hope that I can help them work through like what plate they have set for them,
Yeah.
and where they stand in their process, and then support them in their creativity as well. So
That leads me to a question. So I know we work with a lot of initiatives at the Wisconsin Resource Center for Charter Schools, and it seems like when you guys jumped in, it was all the way in. And I know some schools that are doing project-based learning, just as you're saying, come to you asking how to do it and are nervous about, yes, do they still need to do this like traditional teaching and then add project-based learning on top? And what would you say to those design teams that are feeling pulled in two directions or unsure about how to jump in?
I would remind them about those essentials we discussed a moment ago, about, you know, the integrity of the autonomy of the student as a human who has the capacity for everything that we have the capacity for as teachers. And that if the only thing you can do is hand the power of assessment to the student, even if you don't do projects, I would encourage that they were to, that would revolutionize their classroom or their school. Because I know that, because I've learned over time where the real hubs of student-centeredness really are in a day. And I know that even if I did a project and went through all the phases of the project that you assigned me, that if you let me assess myself, that I could learn some real important things about myself. And
I love that. That's huge.
Yeah, I agree. And that, and I would reassure them at what I just said, which is like, guess what? If you let them choose bulldogs and skateboards at first, they're going to end up choosing climate change and mental health in the end, because in the end, they will truly internalize what is important and use the project process. No, you do not have to worry, I would say. Don't worry. They'll cover the standards and have meaningful learning.
Yay. So how has being a charter school allowed your initiative to happen and to afford you opportunities that would not have been available otherwise?
I'm so glad to say that for most of my career, it's all I've ever known. I'm so thankful to be living in the generation of choice and differentiation in education. I'm proud to say that I think we spurred it along. We've been a major player, and I'm thankful. And that I found myself with the opportunity to work within the system, in the support of the system, to create my own authentic system, or our own authentic system. Is, wow. I mean, that is like a gift, right? That's a gift. And in a way, it's being on the front lines, to be part of the charter school movement, to be a charter school and setting an example within that takes a whole nother layer of investment and passion, I think, for a greater good. But it's also opened up some real truths of what's important in the sustainability of schools. Like, for example, to be community-based, to be a charter school, you have to rally the support of your community, because you're not necessarily nestled within your institutionalized system. You're out there and you're seeking true learning, and you're seeking community connections for your students, and you need to be supported. And if you can become a locally supported school, you're going to last, and you're going to be supported resourcefully as well, with funds or with manpower or with ideas or expertise. And so I think being a charter it's definitely on the front lines, but you're also exposed to all of those possibilities, that's where we like to sit.
I know you talked a little bit about your positive relationship with your district as an authorizer. How have you fostered that positive relationship, and how do you maintain it over almost 20 years?
I'm really thankful for our district leadership. I'm thankful for our town. You know, I think we have a town that cares about being true and being authentic and having integrity. And that started a long time ago with, well, it pinpointed a long time ago with a superintendent who really wanted to step out there and take some federal funds and create some choice for parents. And I think that laid a good seed in Appleton. I think we did our part as a teacher-powered school to be really democratic about our approach in decision making and problem solving and in communication with them. I think, you know, we were good collaborators and are good collaborators in that, like, we serve the AASD and the AASD serves us, and we have a reciprocal relationship like that. It takes diligence in creating a reputation in a way that precedes you, because when new folks come and they have great intentions and don't understand, and this happens all around, right, with charter schools all the time, within their own school and in relationship with their community and district. It's a main challenge, is like, how do we keep the story alive and stay true to the mission in a way that the new folks can understand and advocate for it wholeheartedly. And so I think it's a constant proving of ourselves and remaining innovative and helpful to others outside our district. We are an asset to our region and our world, because we've helped all people all over start schools that are innovative. And I think that's reinforcing.
Can you tell me a little bit about, as a teacher-powered school, how does your relationship with your board work, and how has that changed over time in that democratic style of leadership?
Our own school board, our VNS Inc.
Exactly, yeah.
That's an interesting question. Long ago, when Valley New School started, boards were not the ones starting schools. I'm not sure, Cam, was it even a requirement when we started Valley New School to have a board? I think it was. Has there always been requirements to have a board for charter schools? I'm not sure, but
I don't know the answer to that. I mean, I would guess yes, but who is enforcing it?
Right. I know we had a board almost immediately, but the board were not the founders. Like, the founders were the teachers of VNS, and that was special.
Yeah.
And in order for the movement to take off, really, that could not be sustained. In the end, other people had to start schools, because most teachers don't have the capacity to start their own school. They're inside their institution, and all their time and efforts are taken up with their kids and with their jobs. So the fact that boards were created to start schools and hire teachers is great for the movement. And it presents its own a unique set of qualities. Yep. So we created our board after the fact and spent years and years trying to empower the board, like, to take some of the work, to assume some of the autonomy that they needed to be truly supportive of us, instead of just another thing for us to do. And we did accomplish that. Like, there was a point in history of Valley New School where I felt the tipping point, like, wait a minute, I'm looking forward to go to our board meeting because there's going to be help there. But we earned that over time. And I think one of the keys was that at one point we disbanded our bylaw that we had to turn over board members every so often. We had these great people and their terms were coming up, and we were like, no, don't go. Like, why do we have to do that when we have these great people here? And it has turned into them being lifelong friends and supporters who end up bringing in other folks who are able to serve us for a time. For example, they haven't had to remain the president. They just get to be on the board now, and it's in a more supportive role. So I think that's been really key to our success. I don't even know if that's advisable, but that was just really worked well for us.
And I think, each school can make that choice. I think it's important to have elections, but maybe no term limits, that there's still this opportunity for the community to have a voice and who's serving on that board. But yeah, having those folks that have that history and perspective, and it's really great to have that continuity on a board.
Absolutely. It happens fast. So continuity, even over 20 years, like it's a very short amount of time in real time speak, but it's essential, I think.
Is there anything else you would like to tell us about that is currently happening at your school, or something that you would like to take time to celebrate?
Hmm. I want to celebrate ourselves as a true laboratory. I mentioned it before. I am 100% sure that there has never been 2 days the same at Valley New School. Every single day presents a new opportunity for growth or experimentation. The people culturally, we've adopted a growth mindset in that way. And we're excited to be the lab rats. We want to be the scientists and the lab rats, but we want to, keep trying new things. And so we have, like, for example, we have a new staff member who came to us last year, and we haven't had a lot of staff members because the staff members stay for a long time. And she is a mathematician. Exactly what project-based learning and Valley New School needed was a mathematician to come in and really look hard at math practice. And how can we personalize and innovate that? And so that's new and exciting and going on. I feel like kids are really excited to be back in the swing of things. And I feel like they're taking the concept of experiential learning to a new level. I mean, yesterday we had like a crime scene simulation, a guinea pig observation, and a Venom lab field trip, and a senior presentation on happiness, like all going on at the same time in one day. And
That sounds incredible.
Without the capacity of the students being allowed to create their own experiences and to take that on, that would not exist. So I want to celebrate their enthusiasm for their opportunity as well.
I have one more little question that your answer led me to. Onboarding new staff, I know you haven't had to do it much, but do you have any advice for folks that are in positions where they have to bring a new staff member into a community that's so innovative? How do you make sure it's the right fit and person for that community? And then how do you successfully onboard them?
You pray. And one thing we've done this last round this year in our current process is we've involved experiential learning into the interview process, where we're inviting our finalists to come in and involve the students in the process as well, and welcome their feedback. Like, why not? They're so influenced by our decision. Why not bring them into that process? To take the due time necessary to make sure that it's a mutual fit. We feel rushed. We were only allowed to have our posting for 5 days. Like, well, why? If you,
Wow.
I heard recently that if you're hiring the pastor at the church might take 6 months to hire, because of all the layers of getting to know and understand that happens before you make that really important decision. And I don't feel like I have 6 months, and I don't need 6 months, but I definitely want more than 5 days. And so to just like kind of be patient with the process and make sure that all the all the layers have been uncovered about what we can talk about or need to talk about before we make this decision, both for the candidate and for ourselves. And then also, like, once you do that, and it seems like that would bring the right person, and the onboarding can be more natural, obviously. And then, you know, we start the spring before, bringing the candidate in and making sure they understand and can see something in action before they have to go to the drawing board in the summer or before school starts next year. And we've sent, you know, and then we use WRCCS and the Innovative Schools Network and send them to training about, you know, to meet our friends, to meet our innovative friends, and to allow them to start networking with them, because that's right. That's how we started this conversation. That's what carries the innovation forth. So.
Thank you. That's very helpful. How can people find out more about the Valley New School?
Well, we are supported by the Wisconsin's Regional Center for Charter Schools, and I hope that we are a household name there, and that we are like the go-to people when someone needs to have their mind changed or their mind opened. And also the Innovative Schools Network. You know, we're friends with them and they're friends with us. We have friends all around, and that helps. So if you go to a project-based school, there may be some Valley New School infused there. I mean, there's a good chance, especially in Wisconsin.
I bet.
Yeah.
You've been such an incredible peer support school for so many schools in our state. And I just want to give a thank you for that. You have inspired so many people.
Thank you. It's so refreshing. It keeps us just as new. So thank you. And then, you know, visit, as always, visit. Come to our website once it's back up and running.
Oh, no. All right, but people can get in touch with you and you're open for visits.
Absolutely. Anytime.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for taking the time today. I hope we can do it again. And the Wisconsin Resource Center for Charter Schools so much appreciates you, Niki, and the Valley New School and all you've done for charter schools in the state of Wisconsin.
Back at you, Cam.